Hey everyone, welcome back to Positively Questionable, the podcast where I'm positive and Bree's questionable, and we're just a couple rookies trying to sound like pros and hope people listen to us.
I think this is the last time you do the intro.
Roll the intro music.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Positively Questionable. I'm Brianne Litt.
And I'm Luke Zettel.
And we're the team that makes up Positively Questionable. So this is our second episode, and we just wanted to say thank you for all of the support with our first episode. So we're going to get right into it and start with our first email that we got from Matt DePensier. And he says, "Hey Bree and Luke, I really liked the first episode and I'm looking forward to more. Just wondering, do you drop at Tilted Towers in Fortnite?"
That's a good question because neither of us play Fortnite, Matt. But if I'm familiar with it, I'm pretty sure Tilted Towers, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's like sort of like where the majority of people drop and it's like the big bloodbath. So I think kind of what he's asking is like,
Are you dropping out of like a plane or something?
I think the way it happens is like, yeah, you like fly over the map and you drop into the map and you drop into a different location. And it's like a lot of people will drop in at Tilted Towers because it's like one of the most popular places. And then it's like a big bloodbath. So I think he's asking like,
oh, I see.
Is it like, do you fight, drop in at Tilted Towers, or like flight? Do you drop somewhere else that's a little more quieter? And
very like Hunger Games vibes to it.
Honestly, the whole thing with like the map shrinking and everyone coming back together, and then I don't know what the whole like dancing thing is.
I have no idea.
But
honestly.
I think it's pretty jokes when you see like in like high school wrestling matches. Now there are videos of people like they'll like get a KO or pin someone to the ground, and then they start doing a Fortnite dance on top of them. It's pretty hilarious.
I'm gonna have to look this up and investigate. But okay, what are you? Are you a fight or a flight kind of guy, Luke?
I think I definitely drop into Tilted Towers. I love just getting right down to the nitty gritty.
I can see that. You are also super competitive.
Oh, I hate lose. I don't lose. It's like it's not in my vocabulary.
You're also very humble as well.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. But why would you drop right away? Like, why do you like being competitive?
I don't know. I just think that if you're gonna play this game, you might as well just like you're either gonna win or you're gonna die, right, in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So you might as well just get all the action over and done with, and then if you're able to survive that instant bloodbath, you know that you're one of like the top competitors in the game, and then you take time to build your strategy.
So it's survival of the fittest, and then up from there, like.
Yeah.
Then you strategize.
So all the vets will drop in at Tilted Towers, I feel like, or the people who have no idea and they're like, "Oh, this seems cool." But then you just like see if you can make it out of there, and then from there you have all like the other people that drop at other places, and then you like take your time dealing with those.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
I see. So
what about you?
I don't know. What do you think I would do?
You're definitely a flight.
I mean,
you're like the farthest place on the map from Tilted Towers. Yeah, I'll drop in there.
I mean, that is kind of true because I am competitive, but I also like to think things through. But I also am just like not a confrontational person. Like I like to think things through, and yeah.
No, you definitely impulse decisions are not your forte.
I'm very indecisive. I'm working on it. Don't worry. So thank you, Matt, for the email. We're looking forward to your next one.
Okay, so one of the things that Brie and I got talking about is I like to like joke around with Brie a lot and tell herself that's
straight up lies,
not really true, and see how long she buys it for. So today Brie asked me, she said, "Do you have like a big lie that you've like really drawn out and
it's actually been successful,
and it's worked, like you haven't been exposed or caught for it?" And right away I was like, yeah, I definitely have.
He got really excited too.
Yeah. So basically, okay. So you all know that we're both residence dons here at University of Waterloo.
Woo.
And so one day, a couple of the girls who live on my floor, I won't name them.
They're going to know when they hear this.
They'll find out. But they come in, and a little bit of a preface to the story. So I have a really good friend who I went to high school with. Her name's Julia. And then we both lived in the same residence in first year. And then we had a class together, and we hung out a lot, and we were really good friends. And a lot of people at St. Jerome's, where we lived, thought that we were twins, especially like some of the cafeteria staff, and they thought we were brother and sister. And so we were talking, Julie and I were talking, and we were like, how funny would it be to try to convince people that like we were actually twins? And so these two girls from my floor come into my room, and we just get chatting, and I'm like, oh, this will be the perfect opportunity to try to just like nonchalantly slide it in and see if they buy it. So I'm talking, we get talking about like my family and how I have a little 11-year-old sister, and how she, like, her and I have a pretty funny like relationship where we tease each other a lot, and she's getting to the age where she's kind of able to start dishing it back out, and she's starting to like catch on, which is really funny. But then I just kind of like threw it in there. I was like, okay, here it goes. I was like, honestly, all three of my sisters, like, they just love giving me a hard time and trying to get me riled up. And the two girls were like, you have three sisters? How many siblings do you have? Like, how many sisters do you have? And I said, oh, well, I have like my eldest sister, who's 9 years older than me, which is true. I do have an older sister, Kate. And then I said, I have my little sister, Anne, who's 9 years younger than me. And then I actually have a twin sister, Julia. And they're like, no way, that's so cool. Tell us about her. So I started telling them, like, I went off for probably like 20 minutes just telling them about my non-existent twin sister, Julia, and how we like really like butt heads a lot, and like we can't spend too much time together. But at the end of the day, we like putting on like an image for people that were like really close and really funny. And it worked out really well because like we're pretty good friends. And one of Julia's Instagram posts referenced me as like her big brother, just like, you know, meaning we're just close friends. Yeah. And so anyways, to this day, literally to this day, no further, the two girls on my floor believe that I have a twin sister who goes to school with me. Okay,
in their defense, Luke is one of the best liars I've ever met in my life. Like, he is the best poker face, and he doesn't change anything. Like, usually usual tells that you can see, like, people get uncomfortable, or they raise their eyebrows, or their pitch of voice changes. Like, little things that you usually look for. Like, a lot of people close off their body language when they lie. Luke, like, does not. It's just flat out. He's really good at it. He's really happy right now. He's like smiling at everything.
This is like the biggest compliment I've received from Bree since we met.
Luke's a snake. That's what the point of the story is. But I'm the total opposite. I'm so bad at lying.
And you're so gullible.
Hey, watch it. I don't know. I find it really hard to carry out like an extensive lie, and I'm not really sure why. It's just something I've never been good at.
Yeah, I think you just have a better conscience than me. I don't know. I have no problem teasing and pulling people's legs.
I can carry out little things like at Justin Hammond, who's also a Don with us. Luke and I really love teasing him in a loving way. And so I'm good at doing little lies like that, but only for a few minutes. And then I could never pull something big off. Yeah. So my goal of the term will be to successfully lie to someone.
Yeah, and stay tuned in future episodes. Justin's not on the program today, but you can be sure that he will be. He's a really funny guy, and it's really easy to kind of get under his skin a little bit. And
we love you, Justin.
We're pretty, Bree loves you. I'm just kidding. No. We'll probably have him on the show, or we'll just talk about him a little bit more.
Yeah. We have some pretty fun combos with him. And we'll talk about Luke and Justin are very into creating bets. And we'll tell you about some pretty interesting ones.
Okay, I got to tell them about the tangerine shirt. I got it.
Okay.
Long story short, as Dons, we get this Waterloo Housing T-shirt, and
it's beautiful, really.
And pretty much we made a bet to see who could wear the T-shirt every single workday from like during business hours, 9 to 5, and then the winner of the bet or the loser of the bet is the person who doesn't wear it Monday to Friday during the hours of 9 to 5. And this is like, I'm really competitive, and Justin thinks he is.
Extremely. But the kicker is that Justin will be, hi Justin, he will be on a trip to Spain, and he will be hiking for 20 days.
Yeah, so if he can last to the end of the term, which is about mid-August, I'm assuming we'll probably get the shirts like mid-June, end of June.
Probably.
So if he can last like a month and a half, I have no doubt in my mind that I'll last that long. But if he can last that long, he needs to go and walk El Camino, big hiking trip in Spain during the summer, and keep this shirt on.
I would just like to add that this arrangement is the best for me because I get to enjoy these two doing ridiculous things.
My laundry bill is going to go through the roof.
Without having to actually do anything. So it's the best of both worlds. And, anyway. Okay.
Anyways, that's enough about it. We got other stuff to talk about.
Justin, we love you. You will be a featured guest later.
Don't put words in my mouth, okay? You can.
I love you.
Thank you.
You'll have to talk to Luke about that one. But, okay, so Luke and I decided that we wanted our podcast to be a good mix of light and funny things, but also some kind of deeper topics, because talking about this kind of stuff is important, and it's important to address, like, stigma and, like...
I don't know, just stuff like that's kind of, like, below surface level.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because everyone thinks about these things. So what we kind of wanted to talk about today is... what was your biggest insecurity growing up?
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
You can go ahead if you would like.
Okay, no, that's okay. Cool. I honestly think my biggest insecurity growing up, and Mom can probably like attest to this, is just like my physical appearance. Like I wanted to make sure that physically, like what I was wearing and the way that I looked, sort of fit in with everyone else. Mm-hmm. I wanted to make sure that I was wearing like the brand name clothing and stuff, all that, like wearing brand name clothing, looking physically like my hairstyle and stuff like that was like, normal and in. And definitely like there's something that really took up a lot of my time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until probably I was in like grade 12 or my 5th year of high school where I kind of realized like, people don't really care what you look like, especially once you make an impression of who you are. Mm-hmm. It's like showing up to school in like ratty sweats just to have a lazy day. People are like, "Oh man, Luke's wearing his sweats. Mm-hmm. Nice."
You know what? I think it is. I agree. That's something that people always struggle with. Like, there's so many informal methods of like social control that exists in society, and that's just something that people are mindful of. But also, I agree, like, there's nothing wrong with being proud of, like, what you look like. Like, if you're confident, if some confidence stems from that, that's great. And it's also, there's nothing wrong with self-care and, like, taking care of yourself and caring about your opinion. But I agree, like, initially, if someone's a really horrible person, but they're beautiful, that beauty is only going to, you can't foster meaningful connections and relationships based solely off of like a physical appearance. If you're not nice to other people, they're going to consistently have negative interactions with you, and they're not going to want to be around you. And it's really hard to, like, we're drawn to positivity, right?
Yeah.
And, like, connection, I personally, like, my connections, I look for positive people because they only bring you up, right? So I know that's, like, going a little deeper than what you were saying.
I don't know why you spend so much time with me, then.
Yeah, he's pretty mean, but it's fine. I'm getting better at having some comebacks.
Come on, I'm just kidding.
I'm just kidding. You have a cat to be kidding me. Anyway, sorry. Yeah.
No, how about you? What was your biggest insecurity growing up?
I think it was just not knowing who I was. Like, didn't really fit in very well with people in terms of personality. Like I was super shy. I still am fairly shy when I meet someone new. I'm very mindful about like how I present myself. I just found it was I got anxious about things a lot, and people close to me know that that's still an issue for me. But I was just really anxious, so I always closed myself off to developing like really deep like friendships and stuff like that. So I didn't have a ton of friends when I was growing up, and that's always like kind of a sore spot for me, is that it's like as I've grown as a person, I've like opened myself up to that and become more comfortable in my own skin and like developing like solid relationships and stuff like that. But yeah, that was really hard for me.
Yeah, and it's really something like, especially in today's day and age, how much of the focus is on how we can connect with people. Like the saying, "It's not what you know, it's who you know." How real is that?
True, so true.
Yeah, it's really crazy. A lot of people, especially like being students who are applying to co-op, like how often do you see that in like the job hunt? People who have connections,
all aspects of life,
they're 10 steps ahead of everyone who doesn't have a connection. To someone, right? So networking is such a huge thing, and it's really interesting that even from a young age, sort of realizing who we are and how we connect with other people is something that plays a prominent part of shaping who we are as an adult and as a person, and shaping our entire life, right?
Yeah. I think it was also just like what held me back was like all that anxiety and like interactions was hard for me. It was masking who I was as a person, which was keeping me from getting to know other people and developing those deep relationships. And the few friends that I did have, I clung to them I stuck to them a lot. And it wasn't until university when I got out of a small town and started meeting different people with personalities I'd never seen before and who had new creative ideas. And I just learned what a genuine reciprocal friendship was like. That was really, really good for me. And it's only been like, there's still been some bumps in the road, but it's only been up from here. So yeah.
No, that's great. And another thing, if you have any insecurities that you guys want us to share with other people, again, feel free to email us at positivelyquestionable18@gmail.com. And you can keep this totally anonymous if you don't want us to read out your name on the episode. We can totally do that. But definitely we're interested in insecurities that people have had and how they kind of push past that, right?
It's actually really interesting. Like being in psychology, I know that an insecurity that you have, you think that other people are paying much more attention to it than they actually are. So it's just interesting to see what people feel is going on with them versus how other people perceive them. So anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And we just want to sort of spark a conversation and keep a conversation going because it's something that it's amazing when people can talk about it and be open with it. We understand like it does take a lot to get it out there. So that's why we kind of want to try to be that plant and plant a seed and kind of get that conversation going and make people more comfortable with who they are and more just confident.
And being Waterloo students, we realize that the school has maybe faced a lot of controversy regarding mental health and student deaths and stuff like that. So we just want to do our part and let them know that there are people there that are willing to talk about this kind of stuff, and other people are always going through something similar. So.
Exactly, and the most relatable people are fellow students. So
exactly,
might as well keep this going, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, moving on. On the last episode, Bree and I kind of talked about how music plays like an important part in both of our lives, especially in mine. And so I'm just kind of curious who your favorite musical artist is and why.
That is a tough question. I know it's going to be even harder for you to decide.
Oh, yeah.
I think I will have to go, in terms of like my modern interest in music, I'm going to have to go with Ed Sheeran. I just think he is such a stand-up guy, He's so grounded, which is insane compared to other famous people who have gone through really difficult periods. But also, he is so talented.
Oh, yeah.
He is unbelievable. I've seen him in concert twice, and I'm going to see him again in August, and every time he just blows me away. Like, he was, well, actually, he wasn't born with, like, this gift, but, like, he worked at it. Did you see that video of him? He was, like, 4 years old, and he had a really bad stutter when he was younger.
Oh, really?
And he played a video on an interview one time, and it was him singing when he was really little, and he sounded horrible.
Really?
So,
Wow.
but he also had a really bad stutter, and he said music was a way for him to overcome that, and, like, he was like, yeah, you have to practice to be good, which is true. But I even admire him for that as well. Like, he used music to bring him out of his shell, which is something that a lot of people do. And I just think he's a really good guy who writes really genuine, down-to-earth, like, quality music.
Yeah, and what I really like about him, obviously I don't know him as well as you do, or don't follow him as much as you do.
Yeah.
Guess you don't really know him.
What's up, Ben?
But really, I like, I've listened to some of his live stuff and heard from other people who have seen him live, and he does a lot of stuff with a loop pedal live. So he records all of the tracks and plays them over top of one another, which is like, it's such an incredible talent. And the other thing is, his stage presence when he plays live, he's able to interact.
It's amazing
with the audience. There are lots of tracks of him involving the audience and sing-alongs, and he divides the audience into two sections and have them have sing-offs against each other. Like, that's just like,
it's incredible.
A new way of thinking, right?
The first concert I saw of him was literally just him on the stage for 3 hours with his loop pedal, and just the talent is insane. And I also, like, he definitely is really big in terms of influencing artists. Who was it? Shawn Mendes we were talking about the other day.
Yeah.
He seems draw heavily from Ed Sheeran, and also one of your other favorite artists that you'll probably talk about. And so Ed is my favorite.
Yeah,
so
he's great.
What about you, Luke?
This is like a really tough question. And the other thing that I find is it kind of goes with where I'm at and how much I listen to artists. And like, I really like Luke Bryan as like a country artist. He has a great first name. It's something about like the name correlating with good looks.
You should let other people tell you that.
No,
I'm kidding.
No, I do really like Luke Bryan. And he's good in terms of like a country artist. I like some like classic rock artists. Like, I really like Rush. They're really talented.
Okay.
But if I were to choose my favorite, I really like Jason Mraz. I like, he's probably my favorite. And the main reason is he can sit, like, I play acoustic guitar, and he can sit with an acoustic guitar for hours and just entertain an audience. And his music is very melodic, but it's also very wordy.
Which is hard to do
without being rap.
Yeah.
So he's still like singing. He's not rapping. And a couple of his songs I tried learning, and a lot of music, you can just kind of sit down. If you're familiar with the tune, you can sit down and sort of pick up a guitar and kind of piece it together and work it out. But it's a process to learn Jason Mraz music. And he's brilliant. Unfortunately, he's not as popular
as he should be.
And he hasn't done too much recently. But if you ever get the chance to listen to some of his older stuff, it's
like, who doesn't know I'm Yours?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And if you listen to some of his unpopular stuff, it's really just wholesome music too. There's this song that he has called "Live High," and basically it's just him talking to like, live as positive as possible and just be thankful for the life you're living, and appreciative of those around you and show like reciprocate love that people show you, and take any opportunity that you get to just like plant positivity and whatnot. And
I love that.
And he's just like a really refreshing artist to listen to, and he's so talented.
Yeah.
So that's my little little praise session for Jason Mraz. But no, he's great, and I listen to him a lot. He's just really easy listening. So
yeah, I think they're really good. Like, those are two really solid artists that are like just amazing songwriters, talented across the board. So
yeah, and they're pretty similar too.
Yeah, they are actually.
Yeah. So we're gonna end off. We got an email from one of my friends. So
there's a few things.
So it's not like it's just gonna be like an email and then we're gonna peace out. But basically, we have an email from one of our listeners, Tyler Cooker, who's also a friend of mine. I play some sports with him and hang out with him, and good friends with Tyler and a bunch of our other friends. And so he said, "Hi, Luke and Bree. I listened to your first podcast, and I think I'll make a habit of it. Very relatable and easy listening." And then he asks a few questions. There's a new promo at Burger King. Would you get 2 cheeseburgers and fries and a drink for $5, or 2 Whoppers for $6? So for those of you not familiar, Burger King has promos out right now. And one of them is for $5, you can get 2 cheeseburgers, fries, and a drink. Or for $6, you can get 2 Whoppers, their signature burger, kind of like the Big Mac of Burger King. So.
I know exactly what I would do. Honestly, I was saying this earlier. I would go for 2 cheeseburgers, fries, and a drink for $5 because A, it's already $1 cheaper, and B, like, I would assume that the cheeseburgers, I don't know, I've never had a Whopper, so I can't confirm, but I would assume that they're about the same, like, quality, and so I would say, like, I'm going to go for quantity. 2 cheeseburgers and fries and a drink for $5 versus 2 Whoppers for $6.
Yeah, I'm totally on the same page. And with that, you get variety.
Exactly.
Like, even if it's not as much burger, you get your fries and a little drink to wash it all down.
And you feel complete.
Yeah, I
feel
like it's
satisfied.
I feel like that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So, and I think Tyler would say the same. He likes his food.
We'll see. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right. So next up on Tyler's email.
So we were just
we debated this.
So we went to Molly Bloom's. It's the Irish pub across the street.
Check it out on Thursdays.
Thursdays they have cheap Stellas. But we went over there with Tyler and a couple other of our friends, and we got chatting about this.
So the question, sorry to cut you off, Luke.
No, that's okay.
I'm too excited. Is a Pop-Tart ravioli?
Now, before we answer this, just take a few seconds to think about this. Think about what ravioli is, and think about what a Pop-Tart is, and say, is a Pop-Tart a form of ravioli?
Yes, I think so.
I really think it is.
I think so, because it's I classify ravioli as something encased, is that the word? In something else. And that's what a Pop-Tart is.
Yeah, it's like a filling wrapped up in a pastry.
a pastry type thing. But yeah, it is.
That's ravioli. Ravioli is usually like cheese and pizza sauce, or like spaghetti sauce, marinara sauce, whatever, and maybe some meat or some. You can get the vegetarian like Alfredo and broccoli.
Yeah.
Wrapped in a dough.
Yeah, which is what
a Pop-Tart is.
And you know what I would also argue is pierogies are also something stuffed in something else, and they can be dinner and they can be dessert pierogies.
Yeah.
So why can a Pop-Tart not be ravioli? Because why can a pierogi be dinner and dessert? It just can, which is like a Pop-Tart can be ravioli and it could be dinner or dessert.
No, exactly. And again, these are things we want to hear your feedback. so send us an email.
Feel free to argue with us.
If you want to, even if you're just playing devil's advocate and
want to make me angry,
want us to just rant for 15 minutes about Pop-Tarts and ravioli, send us an email, positivelyquestionable18@gmail.com. The last thing we're going to talk about that Tyler brought up to our attention.
This is wild.
He just said, what are your thoughts on the Avril Lavigne conspiracy theory? And we're not going to get into it this episode. We're going to actually talk about it next episode. But what we want you to do is send us emails. If you're not familiar with what what we're talking about, send just perform a little quick Google search, Avril Lavigne conspiracy theory, and you'll like find it immediately.
Did you want to tell them a little bit about it or no?
Okay, long story short, to intrigue you, there's a conspiracy theory that Avril Lavigne is dead. So
sorry, Avril, I shouldn't laugh.
And it's funny because Brie and I actually, right before recording this, started listening to Avril Lavigne, and we really like her. And let's just leave it at that. We can't.
Okay,
do your research.
Someone has theorized that Avril Lavigne is dead, but yet she lives on. That's what we will...
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that.
So send us your thoughts on that to our email, positivelyquestionable18@gmail.com, and we'll definitely feature that on the next show, and we'll give you our thoughts on what we think about it.
Mm-hmm. It's just... Usually conspiracy theories are crazy. You're like, no way that could ever happen. But this one has just a touch of like believability, and that I was really questioning it. So I don't know. We'll leave you with that.
Yeah. So do your homework and get back to us, and you'll get a sweet shout out from Luke and Brie on the episode. So.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for listening. This has been our second podcast of Positively Questionable.
I'm positive.
And I'm questionable.
Take care. See you guys.